Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. We're going to start off with some pictures of Finn getting a belly rub. That's a good way to start the weekend, isn't it? All right. We have some royal news to cover, but the majority of this video is actually about Harry and Meghan. So if that's what you're looking for, as far as royal family news, you might be a little disappointed. But there's some good stuff in here, you guys, as always. So let's just hold on and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Anne. Now, this is the Duke of Edinburgh's Commonwealth Study Conference for Emerging Leaders. That's coming to Canada in June of 2023. Well, Princess Anne is the conference president. And so she went and she met some people and she said, quote, remain open-minded and curious, not just now, but always. So the conference is going to assemble in Montreal on June 16th. Nice to know that Anne still has her foot in the door when it comes to some of the Duke of Edinburgh stuff. You guys know what I'm saying. She looks nice. All right, let's move on. Moving on to Princess Eugenie, most of you may not know that she had a series called Ocean Advocate, and she has launched the second season of it, which I think is pretty good since she just gave birth. She's having conversations with people who, help with the environment. They're looking for sustainable fisheries, they said, and looking at science to help with things. I didn't even know that she had a podcast sort of thing. But we do know that Eugenie is very environmentally aware. She's been an ambassador for the Blue Marine Foundation for the last 2 years. Having kids maybe made her want to do more for the environment. All right, moving on. Next up, we have the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. Now, I told you yesterday, but more stuff came out. They went to the Royal Ascot Golf Club in Berkshire. They cut a ribbon on the Queen Elizabeth II Memorial Wood. They both planted trees. There were 2 oak trees planted to mark the occasion. Then they unveiled the plaque. You guys know they always do that. And then they went and joined club members and volunteers for an afternoon tea in the clubhouse. So yes, I told you about this yesterday, but of course more pictures came out. You know how I am about that. I just feel like all the pictures should be out. Who here thinks that these two need to have their own Twitter page? Like the royal family does, like William and Catherine do. I think these two need their own official Twitter page so we can keep up on what they're doing. Now, one other thing that was noticed, thank you to this Twitter user for pointing this out, Prince Edward is actually wearing the Duke of Edinburgh's personal tie. Nice touch there, Edward. I really like that. Anyway, moving on, we have King Charles and Queen Camilla, who received at Windsor Castle the King and Queen of the Belgians. Very nice. Next up, I just wanted to show this picture. If you look all the way on the right, there is Catherine. I love this, royal wedding photo. All right, moving on. All right. I just wanted to touch on this really quickly. Remember, all the stories came out saying that Angela Kelly had been thrown out of her home at Windsor and that Charles made her sign an NDA and he bought her another house, blah, blah, blah. Well, come to find out, according to this article, that is absolutely not true. They bought her the other house. She wanted to be closer to her children, her grandchildren. She wanted to spend time with them. And that's pretty much the story. All right, moving on. All right, we are now going back to this whole Paul Burrell thing because a lot of people were really confused by this. So let me just touch on it really quickly so you guys will understand what happened. We all know that Prince Harry got on the stand and said that he called Paul Burrell, who had worked for Princess Diana, a little, and then used the S word. Paul Burrell came out and said that he expects an apology from Prince Harry because he feels that Prince Harry defamed him. Now, the reason that Paul Burrell was brought up was because he had been accused of stealing and selling some of Princess Diana's personal effects. So here's how it went down. After Diana had passed away, Paul Burrell had an audience with Queen Elizabeth and explained that he had Diana's papers and some stuff that he was caring for. And the Queen said, yeah, I don't think that's a problem, essentially. So time goes on. He gets accused of stealing, okay? They go into his house, they arrest him, they find all of Diana's possessions. And then the following year, during that trial, the police, even though they had told everybody that they had evidence, now they had no evidence that he had been selling the items in question. So anyway, he's being persecuted in court. And as they're driving one day in October, the Queen was in a car with Charles and Prince Philip. They were headed to St. Paul's for the memorial service for the victims of the Bali bombing. And she goes, why is there a crowd outside there? And Charles, says, well, Paul Burrell was on trial because apparently the Queen had no idea any of that was going on. So that's when the Queen said, but he met with me at the palace. He said he was doing it. I told him it was fine. So immediately the police and everybody, they were all told about this conversation in the car. And so he was left free. It's really a shame because as you can see, they used to be so close. Here they are riding a roller coaster together. It's just very sad. All right, moving on. Most of you probably find that Harry stayed at Frogmore Cottage before he went home. But notice nobody's talking about how he got there or how he got back. How many of you want to bet it was another private jet? He doesn't even attempt to even talk. Have you guys noticed? He never talks about the environment anymore. Every drop of rain that hits the parched ground, because he's such a freaking hypocrite. Personally, I think it's a little weird that he stayed so close to Catherine and William, but I'm sure that while he was on property, they probably had extra security around William and Catherine's cottage. He did not see his father, although his father did return from Romania. He saw nobody. Nobody was even interested in talking to him. All right, here's a little bit more information on the whole Elton John thing. In 2019, Harry and Meghan took Archie and they flew to the south of France on Elton's private jet. Remember, he was too young to go to Scotland with the family, but he was okay to go to France. So essentially, while Harry was there with Elton John, Harry was whining to Elton, what can I do? The press are so mean to my wife. I don't know what to do. And Elton John sat there commiserating with him, but not for long. So in the spare, Harry wrote, just days before we returned home, we strapped on, quote, battle armor and announced that we were suing 3 of the 4 British tabloids over their disgraceful conduct. And he said it was down to Elton and David. That's what he said. At the end of our visit, they introduced us to a barrister, an acquaintance of theirs, a fellow who knew more about the phone hacking scandal than anybody I'd ever met. He shared with me his expertise, loads on open court evidence. When I said I wished I could do something, when I complained it was blocked, he said, well, why don't you hire your own lawyer? So there you go. He was absolutely groomed by Elton John and David Furnish to have this lawsuit. I have to be honest and say that somehow that doesn't surprise me, since they flew them out and back on a private jet and then they went together to do Pearl. Yeah, okay. Elton wasn't that great of a friend to Diana. Now, with all of the coverage of the court case, I have to agree with Patricia Longworth here. Why aren't people coming out in defense of the Queen and Prince Philip's feelings or William and Catherine's feelings? All right, moving on. All right, next up, I just had to throw this in here because, Harry believes he has a brain and something to say, but that's not the case. Boom! Drop the mic. Moving on. All right, here's one of the bigger stories for today. There is a luxury bike shop in Montecito, and the owner is British, and he took one of his bikes, it's 240 pounds, or over $400. And he apparently took it to Harry and Meghan's house. I guess he left it outside the gate. I don't know. And he gave the bike to Archie for his birthday. So the first thing that comes up is this letter from the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. How many times does the Duke and Duchess of Sussex appear on this letter? So I agree with Evans Einstein. It's repeatedly used, almost compulsive. It's on cheap paper. There's no royal emblem on it. And Harry and Meghan didn't even write the letter themselves. They just had somebody write a letter that said, thank you so much for this fabulous gift. What they should have said was, thank you for this gift. We're going to donate it to a needy child. Of course they didn't donate it. They gave it to Archie. Somebody gave multimillionaires a free bike. Then people looked at the person who wrote the letter. Her name is Harrison Colcord. So yes, Archewell has another revolving door thing going on. So she was the marketing director at a hotel around the corner or very close to Harry and Meghan's house. Apparently Audrey Hepburn, JFK, all these people have stayed at this hotel. The rooms are between $2,600 and $4,000 a night. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is the same place where Harry did his interview with the ITV guy and Anderson Cooper in January. And it's the same place where Meghan gave her cheesy interview as well. The grounds of this place is also where Meghan went to have all those, pictures taken where she's wearing all that couture. Now, here's the interesting part. Are you ready? The British owner of the bike store has stated that she is also now working for Harry and Meghan since she published the letter, which was a month after the bike was dropped off. Yep. Yeah, I said it before, I'll say it again. They gave a very expensive bike to a very privileged child who is the child of multi-millionaires. And the bike that he got was an exclusive brand that can cost up to $11,000. And instead of Harry and Meghan again saying, we're going to donate this to a needy child, they kept it. Now, here's the interesting part. The owners of the shop apparently like her so much they named her dog, or their dog, Meghan Markle. Yeah, that's a two-edged sword. Now, I do find it interesting that Harry and Meghan can't write their own thank you note. I also find it really interesting that they said that every celebrity in town has bought bikes, but none of them have ever sent a thank you letter. Well, that would be because they bought their bike. They didn't get it for free. And now people are attacking the bike shop. People saying, why couldn't you donate the bike to a child in need? Somebody else pointing out, why bother to tell the media? This was a media ploy, in my opinion. That's all this was. And there's a lot of backlash now. What they should have done was donate the bike in Archie's name to a needy child. That would have been nice. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is not the $500,000 that William gave to Invictus. No, William and Catherine actually gave a donation to that Centabale or whatever it's called. As a matter of fact, they went ahead and posted their list of people who have donated money. And wouldn't you know it? Nacho's listed, the Royal Foundation's listed, the Sussex Squad is listed. Who's not listed? Harry. Archewell's not listed either. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due. The Sussex Squad, it took over 2,000 donors, but they raised like $132,000. Good for them. But I also noticed they're smart enough not to donate that money to Archewell, knowing that Harry and Meghan would use the money for personal expenses. I'm glad they were smart enough to give it directly to the charity. All right, moving on. Well, this came up again, so I just wanted to cover it. Giles Corin, he is a UK journalist. He is the one responsible for putting out the whole William cheated with Rose Hanbury thing. And then when it came back to him, he admitted it was him. And he also said, I don't know anything about it. It was just, a bad thing. But what he forgot to mention was that this tweet came up after he went to a Soho party in Amsterdam where Harry and Meghan were located. Gee, you think Harry and Meghan didn't have something to do with that? Because I think it's pretty obvious at this point that they did. We've all seen, I've shown you these pictures a gazillion times. Meghan love bombing William. I don't know what she was hoping to get from that, because it's not like William would divorce Catherine for her. But yeah, she was constantly throwing those vibes at William. It didn't work. Then the relationship went down the tubes. And the next thing you know, they're at a party with this guy, and suddenly here come the rumors. Sorry, that's just a little too coincidental for me. Sorry. Could you imagine her actually doing that? Trying to get William to leave Catherine, like that would ever happen? All right, we're ending up with this whole thing about Harry's drug use and the Heritage Foundation. What they're saying now is that if the visa comes out and it looks like he lied, he should be forced out of the country, which I completely agree. He was already fast-tracked. You know, I think we all know by now my husband's not American. We were married, had a child that was over a year old. That's how long we were on a wait list waiting for the interview so that he could be here legally, okay? Obvious that the Biden administration fast-tracked his visa application. The question is, did Harry lie? Listen, if he told the truth, why not just release it? No biggie. All right, guys, I know that's a lot of information, but you know I want your comments, so put them down and make them good. Check that subscribe button. If you've already hit it, make sure you're still subscribed. If not, go ahead and hit that button. Don't forget to go into the description box to find the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, and my physical address in case there's something you want to mail. For those of you who donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.